Hey, it's Catherine. So I wanted to make a recording for you. I know that there are people who want to come to the meetings and you're not able to. And I have been playing with the idea of doing something at night. Um, but I think that it might be worth investigating, trying to do something online in lieu of nighttime, because that way we can meet up from the convenience of our homes. And I think, especially with it getting colder, once you get home from work, the last thing you might want to do is to go back out into the cold when you've had a long day and meet up and talk about weight loss. So let's give this a try. The first thing that I want to talk to you about today is a tool that I teach called the Hunger Scale. And the hunger scale is the basis for everything that we do. The key to weight loss really comes down to a very simple principle, and that is you're going to eat when you feel hungry, and you're going to stop eating when you feel full. And when I say full, I really mean you want to go for about an 80% fullness, especially when you're in weight loss mode. Okay. And so when you do that, you're allowing your body to practice, what you're allowing yourself to practice the skill of getting hungry and stopping when you're full. If you think about the times that you have eaten food when you weren't hungry, maybe it was just there. Maybe the kids didn't finish their food. Maybe you were at the office and somebody brought some delicious treats in and you thought, I'm just going to have that. It looks good. I know it tastes good, but you weren't hungry. If you think about the times that you've eaten and you got to a point where you were full, but you thought, I'm just going to finish what's on my plate, or I don't want to waste food, or whatever the case may be, you ate past full. So then, if you take all those times that you eliminated eating when you weren't hungry and you ate beyond feeling full, you have eliminated a lot of calories. And so, the sweet spot for weight loss and weight maintenance is learning how to listen to the cues that our body gives us and not override it with whatever we might be thinking. Um, Biologically, food is there to help support our bodies. And we live at a time where now the processed foods that we have, the convenience of the foods that are available to us, have overridden the true role that food has. And it's gone from something that has fueled our body so that we can get things done, so we can survive, to something a lot more decadent. Now, I'm not a fan of having food just be fuel. Um, there are so many different creative foods and cuisines out there that, of course, we're going to enjoy our food. But when you keep it within context of what it's meant for, and you also listen to the cues in your body, then there is a way to enjoy having food, enjoying food, but not having that net negative result, which is being overweight. Okay. So, the other benefit of the hunger scale, which I will explain more about what the hunger scale is in just a moment, is that it frees you from being enslaved to metrics outside of you that you might have used to lose weight. I know so many of you have done Weight Watchers, you've counted calories, you have divided food into small portions, and you've eaten every 3 hours. You've gone with keto, you've tried low carb, you've eliminated food groups and things like that. That's really not addressing the true reason that we're overweight, generally speaking. And so it's not going to really fix the problem. It has its place, but it's not in the place of being able to really fix the habits that caused us to be overweight to begin with. Okay. And so this leads me to my next point, which is we're going to talk about the main causes for excess weight. And there we go. Now, there are different reasons for having excess weight. Two of them are lifestyle. The first one that I had already mentioned is eating when you're not hungry. So you might be eating because you're bored, you're stressed. Sometimes it's not even about negative emotions. Sometimes you're going to eat because you are celebrating, because you're happy, because you're on vacation, because this food that's sitting in front of you is a once in a lifetime opportunity and you'll never have it again. Or so we tell ourselves, right? So then we're eating food because we are wanting to have something that is more lifestyle oriented than it is nutrition oriented. The other reason is another lifestyle choice, and that is not stopping when you're full. Like I said, you don't want to let it go to waste. You want to eat just a few more bites, because in a few more bites, you're going to have some sort of satisfaction that you couldn't quite hit. You might think that it tastes too good. It's a special occasion. It's a holiday. With Thanksgiving coming up and Christmas coming up, you might already be planning on whatever you plan on indulging in. You might already be thinking about different foods that you're going to make, different favorite foods that your family makes. And and so think about that. You're probably already planning on eating to excess, right? Now, there are other reasons for excess weight that I do want to throw in, because for some people it might be a health challenge, right? You may have PCOS, thyroid issues, Cushing syndrome, which might be a thyroid thing too. I'm not sure. And then there are certain medications that can make you more prone to weight gain. Steroids, antidepressants, antipsychotics, and even diabetic medications. So I believe that the reason why most of us are overweight, though, comes to that lifestyle. And if you notice too that I put, it's not a lack of exercise. I know that when I first started the weight loss group, there were people that were thinking, okay, the way to lose weight is I have to exercise, I have to watch my calories. And there is a truth to that. I can understand why one would believe that. But I do want to point out that when we exercise, we are expending calories. And when we expend calories, our bodies will require and want more calories to make up for the energy that we expended. So you could get caught in a cycle where if you're not exercising, then you're not creating a calorie deficit. And if you're not creating a calorie deficit, then the foods that you do consume, that you're over consuming, will create weight gain. But it really should be the other way around. You should really be eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. So if you're not exercising, you're not going to have a higher caloric requirement. And so you can see how you can get caught in a trap where you are exercising so that you can create a calorie deficit so that you can eat more calories. But what you really need to do, because we can't always exercise all the time, is you need to just eat what's appropriate for whatever your activity level is. And that is going to be the key. So there's a lot of confusion about how to lose weight. And what I want to offer is clarity. And that is exactly what I think that the hunger scale does. It offers clarity because you know exactly when to eat and when to stop eating. And when you want to go beyond those two reasons for stopping and starting eating, then you know that you're eating for a reason that's different than fueling your body or for hunger. And so what you want to do is solve for that problem instead of using food to solve it. All right? So now the first thing you want to do is really distinguish between a sensation versus an emotion. So a sensation is something that starts in your body and it travels to your brain. So you may have a true physical hunger, right? And so your body releases hormones to let you know that you're hungry. And then those hormones travel from your body up to your brain, right? That it's not the hormones, but it's that physical sensation of hunger. You can feel it. And then you think, oh, I'm hungry. I should get something to eat. Now, contrast this with the emotion of you're thinking something. You see a commercial, and that commercial is featuring a food that you really like. And then you're thinking, oh, I really want that. Like, that sounds really good. I'm craving that. So then you are having an emotion that is triggered by the thoughts, which started in your brain and traveled to your body, right? So an emotion could be defined as a vibration in your body, and the sensation of hunger is different than the emotion of hunger. So learning to distinguish those are really important, because when you sit down to eat, what you should have is physical hunger. So let's talk about the hunger scale. What is this hunger scale? So the hunger scale, if you can imagine, and now I'm giving you this visual, is a scale. It goes from a -10 to a +10. In the middle, you have 0. So when you're at 0, you are feeling neither full nor hungry. When you're at a -10, you feel like you are on an episode of Survivor. You are on Naked and Afraid, and there is no food around, and you are so hungry. When you're at a +10, oh, that says -10, but on the right side, it should be a +10. That means you have to lay down. You're miserable. You just finished your third Thanksgiving dessert, and you are so stuffed that you can't imagine you're going to get full anytime within the next 24 hours, right? So the sweet spot of where you want to be in order to start practicing that skill of eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full is to eat when you are at a -2 and stop when you're at a +2. Now, obviously, when I say a -2 and a +2, this is very subjective, right? And that's okay, because what we are doing in the Burke Women's Weight Loss Group is helping you to figure out the lifestyle that is going to help support your weight loss goals and your weight loss maintenance. And part of that is just making decisions. What does a -2 feel like in my body? What does a +2 feel like? And if you find that you are consistently eating at a -2 and stopping at a +2 and you're losing weight, then great. If you find that eating this way hasn't helped you lose weight, then you can relabel whatever you called a 2 as a 4 and adjust and tweak until you get to the result that you want. All right? So a -2 is when you're just starting to feel that whisper of hunger, when you can feel that physical sensation of, oh my gosh, I think, I can feel that I'm starting to get hungry. And then on the opposite side of the -2 is the +2. So the +2 is when you are just starting to feel full. And that's why I said earlier that it's about 80% full. I don't know if you've heard of the Japanese term hari hachibu, but it means basically that you're going to eat until you're 80% full. And so I guess borrowing on that philosophy, you would do the same thing here. So it's not even a feeling of fullness, or it's certainly not, having to unbuckle your belt and undo your buttons and all that, but it is just when you feel like I could still take a walk, I could still have a cup of tea, I still feel comfortable, I still feel light. And a lot of us really like that feeling of full. And that's something that you're going to be able to retrain yourself to do differently. You're going to retrain yourself. You're going to learn how to just eat until you are satisfied, just under full. All right? Okay, so what does this mean for you? You are going to need to be prepared to leave food behind, your food, your kids' food, anybody's food. So it's really actually very disappointing and shockingly quick to get to a +2. You're not going to be eating the volume of food that you typically have done, because whatever you're eating right now is what is supporting and maintaining the weight that you have right now. And so your current number, whatever it is, needs to be reduced down to a 2. And so you're going to work on recalibrating and thinking, what is a 2 feel like, a positive 2, a negative 2? Chances are you will end up leaving food behind. And for people who don't like to waste food, and I'm not a food waster myself, get some Tupperware, put it in a Tupperware, right? And so you can consume that food later, but you certainly don't need to eat that food when you are already satisfied, when your body actually doesn't require more. The other thing that you need to be prepared for is that you might feel the need to explain. I know some of my members have family members who were saying, hey, like, what is going on? You're not even eating, you're going to whittle away to nothing. Well, maybe they didn't say you're going to whittle away to nothing, but they were concerned that the habits changed. And, our families, they care about us. They want us to be happy. Some of us have family members who want us to eat with them because they want to eat. Some of us have family members who support our goals. So just depends on what your dynamic is. But you might feel the need to explain. Like, say you're going out to a restaurant with friends and you're skipping the bread basket and you're just eating half the food, and your friends might say, well, gosh, what's wrong? Does the food not taste good or whatever? It's really up to you. You can just say, I'm full, and let it go at that. Or you can let them know, hey, I'm doing a thing. It's totally up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. But be prepared for the idea that you might feel like you have to explain, and don't let that make you feel awkward. You don't owe anybody an explanation. And if you want to share with them what you're doing, you can do that as well. And then the other thing is, you are going to need to be prepared to figure out what's missing. So if you recall, I was talking about how when you stop using food to fill your boredom, to help you to deal with stress, to do whatever it does, there's going to be a vacuum, right? When you take something away, there's going to be something missing. So something has to fill its place. And what used to fill its place was food. And now nature abhors the vacuum, right? So something's missing and something has to take its place. So my suggestion is that you will be well served to start keeping a journal, to start writing down your thoughts and how you're feeling and what you're craving and why you're craving it and what's going on. Because all these years of maladaptation, of using food to fill whatever that void is going to be very strong and compelling. So to start to create some separation, you're going to have to do some self-reflection and really have some awareness of what's going on. I can tell you that the most successful members of my group 100% journal, not just their food necessarily, but what's going on for them. Why did they overeat? What did they learn? What could they do next time? What are other sources of joy besides food? What are their strategies? Absolutely. You need to be able to now understand that you're going to have to figure out what's been missing that drove you to food to begin with. And this can be a very healing process, but it's also one that could be difficult. It could feel inconvenient. You may not want to write things down. You're going to have to get over it. You just really are. And as a matter of fact, as I say this to you, I'm speaking to myself. I am the worst in my group of doing the journaling. But I'll tell you, when I have done it, I have lost weight. And certainly they have. And I'm talking about my members who have lost 20, 45, 80 pounds. That's incredible. And it's really worth investing that time to capture some of your thoughts and to really get to know yourself better. You're learning your body's cues. You're honoring when you're hungry. You're honoring when you're full. And when you take away food, you need to honor that piece of you that needs something that it hasn't been getting ever since you have used food to fill that void. All right? What else we got here? All right, so I think this is my last slide. Let's see. Nope. Well, almost. So just to sum it up, I want to, there we go back to the process. So what is this process? Phase one, you're going to need to learn to distinguish physical hunger from emotional cravings. If you're not sure if you're actually hungry, just keep waiting. Find that negative two. And the second phase is you're going to learn and practice the skill of eating. And the skill is starting at a negative two and stopping at a positive two. I don't know if I've already said it, but doing this will eliminate 80% of the weight loss problems, right? When you are down to close to your goal weight, at that point, maybe you want to then look at your macros. Like maybe you're going to, I don't know, go into bodybuilding, like whatever it might be. Those are the people who are looking at keto and low carb. They're the people who are successful at those diets are able to manage the amount of food they consume, and they've been able to manage not giving into cravings. So truly, it's not the diet, it's the skill of eating. The skill of eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. Okay, and this is going to be ongoing. And it may never be perfect because we all know thin people that will say, oh my gosh, I ate too much, from time to time. It's fine. As long as this is a core habit, that's what we're going for. And then the phase three part is you want to create a strategy to handle the emotions that come up. And so the strategy that I recommended today is that you want to keep a journal. And I will talk more in depth about journaling in a future, whatever this is called, recording. And so we will get to that. And if you have any questions, I definitely want you to ask me, just post it. But the big thing that I really want you to focus on is that 2 to 2. All right. Now I have one slide left. What if I screw up? Well, there is no such thing as screwing up, because screwing up is whatever you decide is screwing up. Now, some people say that there are no mistakes, there are experiences, right? So if you find that you ate when you weren't hungry, if you ate way past full, if you had a nighttime binge, is it a screw up or is it an opportunity to learn about yourself? That's why the journaling is important, because you have to understand that everything you do, you're doing for a reason. If you have a craving, an urge that is unrelentlessly calling your name, you've got to understand what is really happening. And that's why every opportunity to journal about it, to understand, to get more insight on yourself is just another opportunity for you to move further along and to understand what needs you need to meet for yourself so that food loses its grip on you. And so there's what you did, right? The mistake, the screw up. But the other side of that is, what are you going to do about it? You always have a choice about how you're going to respond to the things that you feel like you should have done and that you didn't do. But what is not helpful is judging yourself and saying, well, I screwed up again, or I'm never going to get this. That right there eliminates options. And if you're eliminating options, then you really can't lose weight. Or for that matter, you can't accomplish anything, because if you don't allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them, how can you learn anything at all? You would be too afraid to even try, or too overwhelmed to even think about it, right? You can think of this as a math problem. So you solve hunger with food, and you solve emotions by accepting that they do exist, and that the reason they exist is to help you to figure out what's going on for you. How are you feeling in this situation? And how do you want to respond to it so that you can iterate to that next version of who you are and how you handle life? Growth comes from discomfort if we let it, or we can spend our lives running away from that discomfort and continuing to try to solve it in a way that gives us a negative effect and never addresses the actual issue. All right, so that's what I have for you today. I have the hunger scale. If you have questions, if you have comments, I would love to hear from you. So go ahead and post it below, and I will talk to you later.